Hello students, I'm Aanchal Sharma, your educator. In this series, we have been discussing about different novelists, and today we are going to discuss about one Indian novelist. He is none other than the U.R. Ananthamurthy. His name is Udupi Rajagopalacharya Ananthamurthy. This is the picture right in front of you of the novelist that we'll be discussing. Let us read something about him. So, U.R. Ananthamurthy, dates are like this. On 21st December 1932 he was born, till 22 August 2014 he lived. He was an Indian contemporary writer and a critic in the Kannada language. So which is the basic language in which he used to write? He is a Kannada writer. He used to write his novels in the language Kannada. He was born in Tirthahalli, that is considered as one, and he is considered one of the pioneers of the Nyaya movement. He is one of the pioneers in the Nyaya movement that was going on during that time. In 1994, he became the 6th Kannada writer to be honored with the Jnanpith Award, the highest literary honor conferred in our country, India. So Jnanpith Award was given to him. In which year? It was given in 1994. In 1998, he also received the Padma Bhushan Award from the government of India. So these are the two awards. One thing that you should remember is that he used to write. He is a writer, contemporary writer and a critic in the Kannada language. And the second thing you should remember, he was the pioneer of the Nyaya movement during that time when he was writing. Also, in 1994, he became the 6th writer from Kannada language to get this honor of Jnanpith Award, the highest literary honor that is given in our country. And in 1998, he received the Padma Bhushan Award as well. So these are the few facts that you should remember. He was the Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University in Kerala during the late 1980s, and he was one of the finalists of the Man Booker Prize for the year 2013 as well. So he was one of the finalists, but he could not win the award, right? So he was not given the prize, but he was the pioneer. So what all are the awards for which he can be associated? You should learn the things in the class only. First of all, in 1994, he became the 6th Kannada writer to get the honor of the Jnanpith Award. In 1998, he received the Padma Bhushan Award, and he was the contender and the finalist of the Man Booker International Prize in the year 2013. There are few novels that he has written, and there are the short story collections that are important as well. So he has written Samskara, and this Samskara also has a subtitle called as The Right for a Dead Man. It was published in 1965. Then India, that was published in 1973. Estate in 1978. Becoming in 1994, and Divine that was published in 1998. So all the novels are important, but the most important novel for which U.R. Ananthamurthy is the most famous is none other than Samskara, The Right for the Dead Man. We will be discussing this novel in greater detail in the course of the video. There is also one short story collection, and the name of the short story is The Stallion to the Sun and the Other Stories, that came out in 1999. Let us study about Samskara now. So the title of U.R. Ananthamurthy's novel Samskara has the subtitle A Dead Man. A dead man, this jointly invites our attention to the prejudice inherent in the ancient, irrational and the circumscribed rituals of the Hindu society in general and the Brahmanical society in the particular. So this novel Samskara is very famous, and it captures our attention towards the Brahmanical life, how there were skewed responsibilities or there were rules and regulations being followed. This novel talks about the caste system and how much imbibed we Indians were and how much lived our ideologies were in the caste system that used to, that was followed. This novel captures our attention to the prejudices that were inherent in the ancient tradition system, how irrational all the rituals of the Hindu society were. So this novel will help you critique the very essence of the caste system. This will help you question what is a true Brahman, what all are the rules and regulations. With the help of the two most important characters of the novel, we will look at the very own black spot. We look at the black spot of a Hindu culture society, or a society that this novel was depicting, and this novel will tell us about the Brahmanical society in particular and how much it was dependent on the caste system during that time. Samskara, originally written in Kannada, it came out in 1965, sheds light on the caste system and the ways of Brahmanism in the contemporary world. So how all the structures in the culture that time or in the society that time were basically laid down because of the caste system, and everything used to be done on the basis of caste system only. In fact, the burning of a person during the last rites was also dependent on the caste system. This is the plight of our very own protagonist, or the very, of our protagonist in the novel. The word samskara has several meanings. The meanings like rite to passage, ritual, transformation, as well as death rites are all depicted very beautifully. All of these meanings are depicted very beautifully in the course of the novel. We will look at how this last rite is conducted, how there is purification and transformation of the protagonist. This short novella, it refers to the death rite of a man as well as the personal transformation of a renowned man living in the community that refuses to change with time. So these two protagonists that we'll be discussing, I'll tell you the names as well. We will look how they had rigid rules and regulations, how one of them was ready to change while the other was transforming, right, because of the problems that were going on in the Agraha. Samskara, beautifully translated by the great poet and the scholar A.K. Ramanujan, is a tale of existential suspense, a life and death encounter between the sacred and the profane, the pure and the impure, the aesthetic and the erotic. These are the themes of the novel. This novel will talk about the binary. There will be the binaries would come together, the juxtaposition of the binary would happen, and here the transformation would be discussed. This Samskara novel that was first written in Kannada was translated by the poet and the scholar who is very famous, A.K. Ramanujan. It was also made into a powerful film. This novel Samskara was again made into a powerful film, and the role of Praneshacharya, he is a protagonist of the story. Praneshacharya was played by Girish Karnad. So Girish Karnad played the role of the protagonist Praneshacharya. He will be depicting that role, and it was a very powerful film during that time. The English translation also came out in the year 1976. So these were the few things you should remember. Samskara is one of the acknowledged manuscripts or the masterpiece of the modern world literature. A book is set beside, this book which was published is set beside two canonical works as well. Chinua Achebe's The Things Fall Apart and Tayyab Sahil's The Season of Migration to the North, that came out in 1965 as well. So these two novels are in direct contact with the dates in which Samskara came out. These two novels are Things Fall Apart and Season of Migration to the North. Then we have some characters. We should know about the characters in the novel. The very own protagonist, you can say, is Praneshacharya. He is the protagonist of the novel Samskara. There is Bhagirathi. She is the invalid wife of Praneshacharya. Praneshacharya is the Brahmin as well, and he is someone who is who's seen as the head of the village as well. He is someone to whom everyone will rush for the solutions. So he is the most learned man of the village or the Agraha where they used to live. He is the protagonist and he has married to an invalid wife, and his invalid wife's name is Bhagirathi, because according to him, he wanted nothing but moksha. He wanted salvation. He wanted liberation. So Praneshacharya was seeking this utmost moksha. So for that, he decided to marry an invalid woman, Bhagirathi, so that according to him, he will never indulge himself in any sexual activity, and this will help him reach God much further than any other man. According to him, when he will take care of his wife, an invalid woman, he would be doing greater good, deeds that are good for the humanity, and because of this, the nirvana would be easily attained. He had this notion. Then there is the Naranappa, another important personality, not the protagonist, because he is the person who is dead, and in the entire course of the novel, he is being discussed. So he himself was a Brahmin, but he openly defies his Brahminhood. He defies his Brahminhood because he has a concubine. He has a relationship with a woman who is not his wife, of course. He left his wife for this concubine, for a prostitute, and the name is Chandri. Chandri is the concubine of the character Naranappa. Naranappa is someone who has also eaten flesh with Muslims, and he has also killed some of the fishes from the holy tank or the holy river. So all the Brahmins living in the village are very upset. But they never excommunicated Naranappa. He used to live there, but now he is dead. And his rotten body is just lying there outside the village, and no one is ready to do the last rites for him. And it's the Brahmanical rule. It's a rule in the Brahmins that you have to cremate the body and then only you can eat anything. And the body of the Brahmin has to be cremated by someone from his own family and should be a Brahmin. But now, because Naranappa himself has given up all the rules and regulations of a Brahminhood, he is someone to whom no one is there to give the last rites. His body is just lying there. He died because of the plague that was there. Another character is Chandri. She is the concubine of Naranappa. Then there is Puta. He is the half-caste young man belonging to the Malera community, and he is the lover of life and the company of people. He loves talking to people. He loves life as well. He is someone who calls himself the talkative Puta. Everyone call him as a talkative Puta as well, and he will give insight. He will give knowledge. He will help our very own Praneshacharya to attain his own moksha, to attain nirvana, because he will get insight about his own life and soul when he meets Puta. So we will discuss the story after some time as well. There are few meanings of samskara. These are all meanings of samskara, and in the course of the novel, when you read the novel, it will be clear how all of these meanings are created. Are creating the essence of the very own novel that we are reading. Forming well, are making perfect, perfecting, finishing, refining, refinement, accomplishment are all the things that Praneshacharya want to attain. His own samskara would happen. So there will be samskara not only for our character who has died, Naranappa, but for the character Praneshacharya, the Brahmin Praneshacharya also. Forming of the mind, conception, idea, notion, power of memory, faculty of recollection, realization of past perceptions. It is also associated with the process of cooking food, making food, dressing up, or making sacred ceremonies or dedication, or it is associated with making purification. It is associated with the word purity. Everyone is running after purity. And how do you gain purity? You gain purity when you do away with all the Brahmanical notions, when you do away with the caste system, do away with the old ideologies that are forcing you to be what? That are forcing you to be rigid. That's the essence of the novel. And it is also associated with the last rite, an essential ceremony in the Hindu culture. So any rite or the ceremony or the funeral obsequies are also the meaning of samskaras. The subtitle of the novel, A Rite of a Dead Man, makes us what? Makes us think about what Ramanujan calls it the most correct meaning. So basically Ramanujan called that the rite for a dead man is the correct meaning of samskara. Here it is the purification, the last rite done for the dead man Naranappa, and the purification of Praneshacharya. These are the two meanings. Ramanujan suggests yet another significant meaning of the word samskara. He says that the novel is structured like samskara. It has three stages. There are three stages to samskara. There is separation, there is transmission, and there is reincorporation. These are the three stages that we roughly see in the Acharya's life. Acharya will first have to decide who will be the one who will give the last rites to Naranappa's body. He is someone who will go through all of these stages. He will separate himself from the Agraha region and from the Brahmanical notions. He will go in the transition phase. He will evolve, and then at the end he will come here again at the village which he left after the things he has done, after the insight. This is called as reincorporation. He goes away from the Agrahara, so it is called as separation. He travels through the forest and the fair, and he has gained this new orientation. It is called as transition. And finally shown towards, moving towards what? He's finally moving towards reincorporation. He's reincorporating that there is nothing called as a true Brahman essence. We are all humans. How much time he can hold on to his lust? He was someone who was attracted to the concubine of Naranappa, and he consummated with her. He made love with her, and what happens? He realized that no one is correct, no one is perfect, no one is pure. That is how, with this impurity and the knowledge of impurity, he purified his own knowledge. The plot of the novel goes like this. Samskara begins with the death of the sinful Brahmin Naranappa in Durvasapura. This is the village, a close-knit community of Brahmins. It is also called as Agrahara, where everyone used to live together. Naranappa was renounced Brahminical ways and spent most of his life with the Muslims. He used to enjoy time drinking, fishing in the temple pond, and eating meat. So he is someone who never used to follow the rules and regulations of the Brahmin. The most apostate of his actions were breaking up with his lawfully wedded wife and then marrying a low caste woman called as Chandri, who was extremely beautiful, and there was no one in the village who could resist her beauty. As his concubine, he just used to live with Chandri. All the Brahmins never were able to excommunicate him. Naranappa remained in the village, but no one was ready to give him last rites when he died. In death, this becomes the problem because only a Brahmin can perform his last rite, and nobody was willing to do that, right? The polar opposite of Naranappa is Praneshacharya. He was a highly educated Brahmin, and he was revered by everyone in the community. He has the knowledge of all the Vedas and all the religious texts. He used to worship Lord Hanuman and other lords as well, because he used to think that only then he can create a path to nirvana. Also, he married his wife Bhagirathi, who was handicapped. Why? Because he thought that when he will take care of her, he will reach nirvana and moksha properly. Though he thought himself to be too wise and his age also said that he's too wise. Everyone in the Agrahara decided to consult him about the decision to be taken regarding the body of the lying man Naranappa. So he was not able to make the decision. So what happened? The concubine that we have, Chandri said that she will give all her ornaments so that the last rites could have happened and the need of the money can be solved. So after she said these lines, everyone became interested in doing the last rites of that person who is dead, Naranappa. Why? Because everyone had lust for money. So what Prenashacharya did, Prenashacharya said that he will decide what is to be done, and he went to a village temple and he said that he'll sit there and pray to the god Hanuman. He started to pray to the god and he never received any answer. So while he was coming back, he realized that there is Chandri in the forest. So he met Chandri and they made love. When he woke up, he was lying on the laps of Chandri and he realized he committed such a big crime, and now he is not he's not following celibacy anymore. So God would punish him. So he just leaves the Agrahara, he leaves the forest, and then he leaves to the forest, and then he meets Puta, and during that journey he discovers himself, and at the end we see he is coming back to the Agrahara. But the novel is open-ended. It ends with the potential lines that I will tell you. Through these lines you see that the novel ends, and you have to decide whether he will confess his crime to the other Brahmins or he won't. Will there be a samskara for Praneshacharya or not? So this is basically the plot. No one can eat until the body is disposed of, and nobody is willing to perform the rites because of the fear of the inheritance of the sin. He retreats to the holy books to find the answer that is in the problem in his hand. Ananthamurthy portrays a society full of superstition and lack of compassion. There, the whole village is at the verge of collapsing because no one can reach to a right answer. Praneshacharya finds himself unable to supply the answer as well, though through an answer was very urgently needed and the villagers were waiting for him, and the body was also deteriorating. There were pests on the body as well, so he needed answer, but there was no answer. All the people were suffering because the body, more and more people were falling sick and dying because of the dead and the rotten body that was lying there in the village. But when Praneshacharya goes to the temple to seek a sign from the god, he discovers something entirely different. What did he got? Maybe he received the virtue of God. Maybe it was, unless something else was there. Was it God or not? No one knows. However, the narrative ends with a question mark. It ends with the beautiful statement like this. It goes like this. The sky was full of stars, the moon a silver, a perfectly clear constellation of the seven sages. A sudden noise of the drum beats, here and there the flames of a torch, the hard breathing of the bullocks climbing to the hillock, the sound of the cowbells round their necks. He will travel for another 4 or 5 hours. Then after that, what? Will he come back to Agrahara and confess that he is the one who consummated with the concubine of Naranappa? Will he confess that he has changed? He is himself not capable of giving answers? Or is he someone who has received the answers till now? Is left for the audience to decide. This was the novel Samskara. This was one question that was asked related to Samskara in the paper. Pick out the 2 relevant correct descriptions of U.R. Ananthamurthy's Samskara. The novel is written in English. The novel is concerned with the progressive ideas of the time. The novel is set in Malgudi. The novel is a satire on the representatives of the descendant Brahman society or the Brahmanical society. Samskara is a regional novel, and Praneshacharya does not atone for his sin. What is the right answer? These are the options given. The right answer is A. That means 4 and 5 are the right answer. 4 and 5. The novel is a satire and it represents the descendant of, it is a satire on the representativeness of the descendant of the Brahmanical society. It laughs, lampoons the ways in which all these Brahmins were scared to cremate and give the last ride to the dead man's body lying there, Naranappa. And this is a regional novel. First it was written in Kannada and then it came out in English. It was also created as a movie, and in which we have Girish Karnad who played the role of Praneshacharya. So I hope this summary was clear to you and you had insights about the character of these two famous characters, Naranappa and Praneshacharya. You also could understood about Ananthamurthy more. So I hope you liked the video. If not, you can write it in the comment section. If you have any doubt, then also you can write it in the comment section. I'll surely reply to you. Thank you so much for sticking around. Have a good day and keep smiling and keep studying. Thank you.